Hi, this is Derek with Main Garden and Homestead. I'm here with my wife Jessica, my brother Dwayne, and we're going to show you how to make wine. The simplest way to make wine in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. One of the most important things to making any kind of wine or beer is to use Star San to make sure you have something for sanitizing. So make sure you pick up either Star San or just use a really good cleaning product. If you use any bleach products, make sure you give it plenty of time to dry because bleach can kill yeast. But Star San is a safe product. Even the bubbles that are left, that are residual after cleaning with it, are okay to use. You don't have to make sure they're all rinsed off. They won't kill the yeast. Alright guys, here's some of the ingredients you'll need. You'll need just basic tabletop sugar, apple juice, because today we're making apple wine. It's 100% fruit juice. Hopefully you can see that. But get stuff with no additives. No preservatives or anything like that because that'll interfere with the yeast. But again, like I shared with you, Star San. Make sure you get a little bit of wine. It'll help you make wine, I guess. The active yeast from Eichmann's, whatever. But we're going to use this today. This is a yeast that's designed for wine. Some people use it in beer. That helps you get anywhere from a 14 to 16% ABV. Where you know, your typical bread yeast will only give you 10 to 13 ABV. But some of the other stuff we have out here today is our hydrometer. This is a triple hydrometer. Our Airlock, a couple of cups. Everything's been sanitized and ready to go. And the drill bit for the drill so that I can make a hole in the cap. But we'll pause for a minute, we'll get set up, and then I'll show you how to do it. Alright guys, one of the most important things when you're making wine is to have an airlock. Make sure you have the cap from, and we're making it in this juice bottle. So we'll take the cap from the juice bottle, which we've taken off. I drilled it out with a drill bit that fits the airlock, so it fits pretty good. And I can set it right in there. But I need to get a tight seal. So I busted out my glue gun, and we're going to glue around the base of this, just to get ourselves a good tight seal. And I'll explain the importance of the airlock versus just using the cap like you'll see some people use on YouTube. Alright, an airlock you fill up with water and it has a fill line on it about a third of the way up. And so you fill it equally with water, and just by rocking it back and forth it'll even itself out. But you fill it up there and it allows the CO2 to escape as the juice is fermenting, but doesn't allow any outside air in or any other foreign entity that might affect the yeast in the fermenting process. So it's important to make sure that you use an airlock. Some people just use the cap and they screw it back down and they try to find that perfect spot where air can still escape, but like it doesn't come back in too fast. And they think that's okay, but what happens if the bottle gets really hot is the plastic inside the cap expands and actually can seal it and cause your apple wine to explode all over your house, your basement, wherever you decide to store it. So I just think it's kind of a bad idea. And for 99 cents, $2, whatever you're going to spend for an airlock, it's a pretty cheap thing. And you can reuse it over and over. Just keep reusing the same cap. Just make sure, like I showed you in the beginning, to wash it with Star San every single time you make new wine. There, alright. We made room for the sugar. And we need to just get a 1 cup measuring cup. The last batch I made, I put 3 cups in because I thought it was right. But the percentage of alcohol will probably be higher. But to make something that's just good and drinkable, kind of like a cider jack or something like that, just 1 cup of sugar is sufficient, and then your packet of yeast. And again, make sure everything you're using is sanitized. Putting it back in the plastic cup to pour it in. So yesterday, Dwayne, we were trying to figure out the actual measurement of one of these plastic cups.
Yep.
1 cup just filled it, so it is an 8-ounce cup. Alright, so we still have plenty of room to the top if we want to leave, because as the fermenting process starts. We want to have plenty of room for that. But I'm going to take a cap that I had to steal from my wife, put it on here because I already glued the air block to the other cap. But give it a good shake, 30 seconds, or whatever it takes to get that sugar dissolved in there. Before you add the yeast, in a minute I'll show you the progress of the apple juice we started yesterday. It's doing awesome. And then you'll have an understanding of what takes place when it's actually fermenting. So that's shaken pretty well. You don't see any solid sediment in the bottom, and you can see it pretty evenly through it. And then just take the yeast packet, and yes, one packet of yeast will do 5 gallons, but you can't overload yeast, and it won't create any problems by putting it all in. So just dump the whole thing in there. Now again, cap back on. Give it a good shake. Just make sure it's even and that there aren't any really big clumps. That's pretty good. Now we'll put the airlock without my glue. Add water to the airlock up to those lines I told you about.
Those lines away once again.
They're about a third of the way up, and if some of them come without lines, so just fill to where they're evenly filled a third of the way up through each of the tubes, so that there's, and you'll understand it better when you start to see it ferment. When I show you in the ones that are fermenting really well that we started yesterday, you want it to be able to push it through, because that's what will happen as the CO2 tries to escape. So I'm going to screw this on. We glued that up nice and good. I'll screw that on, and hopefully in a couple of hours that'll start to ferment. Now we'll take a look at, oops, let me put the top on really quick so I don't forget. Alright, let's go take a look at the apple juice that we started yesterday. Alright, here's the 3 bottles of juice that we started yesterday. I'll explain a little bit about each of them and a bit about the environment that they're sitting in. I have a piece of cardboard behind them because we are in my greenhouse. I have to keep my greenhouse warm because it's in the middle of, or near the end of March. And now we have to heat the greenhouse, so I figured it was a great place because it'll keep the juice at the right temperature for fermenting. But anyway, so I got a piece of cardboard because I want to keep it out of the sun. So I have it sitting in front of it, and on that side, obviously the sun comes through, so it protects it. But as you look at these airlocks, and how I told you about the fill line would be right about here, all the way across. But you can see it's higher on this one, it's all the way up here, but this side's empty. And hopefully, let me see if I can get that right, so that, there we go, now you can see it. See how it's being pushed through? And it fills the other side almost all the way up? That's the CO2 escaping, which means your yeast is working, your sugars are breaking down into alcohol. And that's the process you want. One thing I can tell you is I heard that apple juice was the easiest, and it definitely is. It's moving the fastest. I have a strawberry kiwi that I started, and that's almost as comparable as the apple juice. And you're going to hear online that grape is the hardest, and I'm using 100% Welch's grape juice. And you're going to hear this the hardest, and it's working, but it's definitely much slower. Like if you sit there and watch it, I'm getting about 1 bubble every like 3 to 4 seconds, whereas the apple juice, it's 1 a second, or even up to 2 a second. It's just fermenting so much faster. Well anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, there'll be more videos like this. We have other wine and beer projects that we're going to be bringing to you. So if you enjoy it, please subscribe and like this video. Thank you.